I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our country and restore its promise for all of our people. Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come. We are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
There is good news. The unemployment rate at the lowest level since May 2001. I want to get right to CNN's chief business correspondent, Christine Roman. Some, glaring numbers here both ways.
Yeah, let's look first at that unemployment rate, 4.3%. This is a level that most economists and, frankly, business leaders consider to be full employment. This is when you have a hard time finding workers and you got to do something to get them off the sidelines, right? 4.3%, the lowest since 2001. And a time, by the way, we thought the economy was roaring on all fronts. Show where the job gains are, because I think this is pretty instructive. Manufacturing jobs down about 1,000. Not a surprise there. Mining and logging up 7,000. And we dug into this number, about 400 coal mining jobs added. That is a real focus of this president. Healthcare jobs. Look at the comparison between mining and logging and healthcare. 24,000 new jobs in healthcare. Every single month, you guys, we see strong growth from hiring in hospitals, ambulatory care facilities, a lot of growth in the healthcare sector. That's where a lot of energy has been. Overall, 80 months in a row, a record, 80 months in a row of private sector job growth.
A deadline is fast approaching for one of Mr. Trump's pet projects, the wall on the Mexican border. Bids from prospective builders are due on Wednesday, and David Begnaud is in Brownsville, Texas tonight. David?
More than 600 companies have put in bids to work on the wall. President Trump says the cost of the wall will be $12 billion. President wants, aside from it being 30 feet, the wall has to be able to prevent digging or tunneling below it for a minimum of 6 feet. A person must not be able to climb to the top of the wall or access the top of the wall from either side unassisted. The wall has got to be so tough that it would take someone an hour to break through it if they're using a sledgehammer, pickaxe, or chisel. Border crossings, people coming across illegally, are down. That's a fact. It's true.
On US10, Border Patrol agents are seeing a change in the amount of people that are crossing the U.S.-Mexico border.
This administration, again, the focus is on border security, and we're looking at those areas that now need more attention than others.
This year, agents are seeing a drop in numbers. In March, 16,600 individuals were apprehended. This is a 30% decrease from February and a 64% decrease from the same month in fiscal year 2016.
It was a swift and bold move in response to a complex Middle East crisis which has dragged on for 6 long years. A barrage of American cruise missiles directed at a Syrian airbase after an alleged chemical attack by Syria's president against his own people just 2 days earlier.
Tonight I ordered a targeted military strike on the airfield in Syria from where the chemical attack was launched. It is in this vital national security interest of the United States to prevent and deter the spread and use of deadly chemical weapons.
59 Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired from 2 U.S. warships in the eastern Mediterranean towards the Shayrat airbase in Homs province, which is around 100 kilometres from Khan Shaykhun, the scene of the alleged attack. President Trump says the Shayrat airbase was used to launch the chemical attack against Syrian civilians. This is what prompted him to act. More than 80 people were killed and many, many more battled poisonous chemicals, probably sarin gas, unleashed on their town.
We fully support it, and the Americans believe that this action is limited. It's very narrowly focused against the airfield, the aircraft and the equipment that the Americans believe were used in the gas attack, and they have exhausted all other means.
The world is starting to see what kind of foreign policy Donald Trump intends to pursue.
I woke up for some reason. I couldn't sleep. I woke up. I saw a lot of texts on my phone. I saw the news. I cried out of joy. I jumped. I thanked God. I don't know. I was overwhelmed. We've been asking for protection. We've been asking for consequences for more than 6 years. And today, for the first time, it happened. For the very first time, we see Assad held accountable just for once. Held accountable for his crimes against humanity. I was overwhelmed. I felt grateful for President Trump. I felt grateful for the United States. I felt grateful for each and every person who lobbied and called and kept on talking until someone actually listened.
There are people in America, and I hear you supportive of President Trump, and so many people are, Democrats and Republicans, but there are also people over here in America who are saying, all right, so clearly President Trump is motivated by just, as we all have compassion for these just horrible images of these babies who were killed, but at the same time, this is a man who doesn't want Syrians to come into this country with this refugee ban. I want to just play some sound. Hillary Clinton weighed in.
We cannot in one breath speak of protecting Syrian babies and in the next close America's doors to them.
Quickly, Qasim, how do you see that?
With all due respect, I didn't see each and every person who was demonstrating after the travel ban. I didn't see you 3 days ago when people were gassed to death, when civilians were gassed to death. I didn't see you in 2013 when 1,400 people were gassed to death. I didn't see you raising your voice against President Obama's inaction in Syria that led us refugees, that made us refugees get kicked out of Syria. If you really care about refugees, if you really care about helping us, please help us stay in our country. We don't want to come to the United States. We want to stay in our country. We want to stay in our country. With all due respect, this is hypocrisy. If you really care, help us stay in our country. We don't want to become refugees. We want to stay in our country. Help us establish safe zones. Help us stay safe in our country. And if you just give me a few seconds just to tell President Trump once again, please, sir, what you did was amazing. What you did was a powerful message of hope for a lot of people inside and outside of Syria.
A dramatic turning point in the fight against ISIS. U.S.-backed forces in Syria this morning are celebrating the defeat of ISIS in its former stronghold of Raqqa.
Fighters from the Syrian Democratic Forces are dancing and they are chanting in the streets.
Losing Raqqa is a major blow for ISIS. The group once called the city its capital. Holly Williams is inside Raqqa with the military gains.
This place used to be an ordinary traffic circle, but then ISIS turned into a place where they carried out public executions. They posted the evidence of those horrific killings on the internet. Now, Al Naim Circle was retaken by these US-backed Syrian forces last night, and yesterday we witnessed them on the streets of Raqqa celebrating. They were in a victorious mood after a 4-month-long battle. It is a bizarre feeling to be here because during the 3+ years that ISIS was in control of Raqqa, if I had somehow made it into ISIS territory, I would almost certainly have been taken captive and very likely killed. Nearly all of the residents from Raqqa, perhaps all of them, have now left the city and many are in refugee camps.
The United States dropped the largest non-nuclear weapon the U.S. has ever used in combat. The target was ISIS.
The bomb, all 21,600 pounds of it, was aimed at the center of an ISIS cave complex in Afghanistan. When it detonated at 7:32 in the evening local time, it set off a massive pressure wave that would have literally crushed the life out of fighters hiding in the caves. The massive ordnance air blast, as it is officially called, sent a mushroom-like cloud towering into the sky. General John Nicholson, the U.S. commander in Afghanistan, said he used the bomb so Afghan troops and their American advisors wouldn't have to go in on the ground to clear out the caves. There are an estimated 600 to 800 ISIS fighters in Afghanistan, most of them located in an area right across the border from Pakistan. Pentagon officials said the strike had been in the works for months and that the bomb itself was moved into Afghanistan during the Obama administration. Authority to use it had been delegated to General Nicholson, although he notified Washington in advance.
A big win for the Trump administration as one of the world's biggest manufacturers announces plans for a plant in the Badger State.
It will be about the biggest there is anywhere.
Taiwan-based Foxconn will build a $10 billion plant, creating LCD panels and 13,000 jobs, according to Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Billions of dollars in state tax incentives helped make it happen.
This is a great day for America. It is a great day for Wisconsin, and it's a great day for Foxconn.
It's the kind of thing that Trump has promised, recreating American manufacturing jobs that fled decades ago. American companies found cheap labor sources elsewhere, along with higher profit margins.
This is with regard to the construction of the Keystone Pipeline, something that's been in dispute, and it's subject to a renegotiation of terms by us. We're going to renegotiate some of the terms, and if they'd like, we'll see if we can get that pipeline built. A lot of jobs, 28,000 jobs. Great construction jobs. Okay, Keystone Pipeline. This is with respect to the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Dakota Access Pipeline. Again, subject to terms and conditions to be negotiated by us. Okay.
Canada's federal government, led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has welcomed the approval of Keystone XL. Petroleum is the country's largest export, and lower oil prices have hit the economy hard.
In both the conversations I've had with President Trump now, Keystone XL came up as a topic, and I reiterated my support for the project. I've been on the record for many years supporting it because it leads to economic growth and good jobs.
We're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville, Virginia. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides. It's been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. This has been going on for a long, long time. It has no place in America. What is vital now is a swift restoration of law and order and the protection of innocent lives. No citizen should ever fear for their safety and security in our society, and no child should ever be afraid to go outside and play or be with their parents and have a good time. I just got off the phone with the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, and we agreed that the hate and the division must stop, and must stop right now. We have to come together as Americans with love for our nation and true affection, really, and I say this so strongly, true affection for each other. So when I watch Charlottesville, to me it's very, very sad. Above all else, we must remember this truth. No matter our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are all Americans first. We love our country. We love our God. We love our flag. We're proud of our country. We're proud of who we are. So we want to get the situation straightened out in Charlottesville, and we want to study it. And we want to see what we're doing wrong as a country where things like this can happen. My administration is restoring the sacred bonds of loyalty between this nation and its citizens. But our citizens must also restore the bonds of trust and loyalty between one another. We must love each other, respect each other, and cherish our history and our future together. So important. We have to respect each other. Ideally, we have to love each other.
President Trump worked the phones late into the evening Friday. He called the president of China to seek his help and his influence over North Korea. The White House says both leaders are committed to removing the nuclear threat from the Korean peninsula. The president also called the governor of Guam to promise that he will keep the American island safe.
If anything happens to Guam, there's going to be big trouble in North Korea.
Stepping outside his Bedminster club after meeting with his top diplomatic and national security team Friday evening. The president took questions for a fourth time in just 2 days, often focused on stepped-up tensions with North Korea's Kim Jong-un.
This man will not get away with what he's doing, believe me. Nobody loves a peaceful solution better than President Trump.
The president would not discuss any military planning in response to the regime's progress with a miniaturized nuclear weapon and its threats to launch missiles toward the U.S. island of Guam.
They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
Or his Friday tweet that military solutions are locked and loaded. But the president rejected criticism that his words are making things worse. On North Korea, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson suggested the president's blunt and bellicose style could hasten a diplomatic result.
I think what the president's doing is trying to support our efforts by ensuring North Korea understands what the stakes are.
President Trump traveling to storm-ravaged Texas today to offer some reassurances to the Lone Star State.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to say we love you. You are special. We're here to take care.
Touring a local emergency operations center.
The world is watching, and the world is very impressed with what you're doing.
And vowing to local officials that they will have the federal support they need.
We're going to be working with Congress on helping out the state of Texas. It's going to be a costly proposition. Probably there's never been anything so expensive in our country's history.
Mr. President, thank you. Thank you.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott praised the Trump administration's response so far, saying federal officials have kept a low profile but offered vital assistance behind the scenes.
The President and his cabinet remain in constant contact with me and my staff, and they all had one thing to say. Texas, what do you need? How can we help? You can count on us.
Trump treading carefully in Texas, stopping short of declaring a job well done as thousands of evacuees remain in storm shelters and Harvey's rain moves toward Louisiana.
We won't say congratulations. We don't want to do that. We don't want to congratulate. We'll congratulate each other when it's all finished. Thank you for coming out.
But even he couldn't resist a moment to marvel at the crowds that came out mostly to cheer the president's visit.
Thank you, everybody. What a crowd, what a turnout.
Trump's tour of Texas just days after Hurricane Harvey made landfall, marking a grim milestone in his young presidency, the first major natural disaster he has presided over. Marshaling federal assistance and offering words of comfort and resilience.
I will tell you, this is historic. It's epic what happened. But you know what? It happened in Texas, and Texas can handle anything.
The president went to Florida today to see for himself the damage done by Hurricane Irma last weekend and to talk to some of the victims. Here's Carter Evans.
On the tarmac in Fort Myers, President Trump praised Florida Governor Rick Scott for the response to Hurricane Irma.
The job that Rick has done is being talked about all over.
Aboard Marine One, the president and first lady got an aerial view of the destruction in Naples below. On the ground, they visited a mobile home park that was badly damaged.
We love the people of Florida, and they went through something that I guess the likes of which we can really say nobody's ever seen before. They've never seen a category like this come in, because it came in really at a 5. All you have to do is look at what happened in the Keys.
Hurricane Irma made landfall Sunday on Cudjoe Key as a Category 4. Later, the president handed out sandwiches and...
Here, Steve has a couple of questions. Go ahead.
Where was Obama on the last hurricane? He was playing golf.
After the president left the airport here at Fort Myers, he told reporters on Air Force One that he hopes to visit Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and possibly even the Florida Keys to see the damage for himself, perhaps as early as next week.
President Trump meeting families in Puerto Rico today.
We're going to help you out.
Thank you.
Have a good time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Tossing paper towels to residents impacted by Hurricane Maria and praising the federal response. The president also raised the cost of the disaster. With power still out to 93% of the island and basic aid just now trickling into some remote towns, survival takes priority over politics for people like Luis Bertrand.
We're Puerto Ricans and we're strong people. We're going to grow up again. But we need his help.
A few services are improving, and today a Navy hospital ship pulled into port offering support.
He saw the disaster that has become of the island, and I think he's going to help us get up, stand up again.
Taking the president at his word to help a day at a time.
My fellow Americans, we are joined together today in sadness, shock, and grief. Last night, a gunman opened fire on a large crowd at a country music concert in Las Vegas, Nevada. He brutally murdered more than 50 people and wounded hundreds more. It was an act of pure evil. Hundreds of our fellow citizens are now mourning the sudden loss of a loved one, a parent, a child, a brother or sister. We cannot fathom their pain. We cannot imagine their loss. To the families of the victims, we are praying for you, and we are here for you. And we ask God to help see you through this very dark period. To the wounded who are now recovering in hospitals, we are praying for your full and speedy recovery, and pledge to you our support from this day forward. In moments of tragedy and horror, America comes together as one, and it always has. And may God provide the grieving families with strength to carry on. Thank you. God bless America.
The president tweeting out this video of his trip to Las Vegas, a visit to the hospital set to music. President Trump and the First Lady meeting survivors and their families, posing for photos along the way, and greeting first responders who rushed to help.
I have to tell you, it makes you very proud to be an American when you see the job that they've done.
The president offering a message of unity.
In the depths of horror, we will always find hope in the men and women who risk their lives for ours. The mass murder that took place on Sunday night fills America's heart with grief.
The Supreme Court is allowing President Trump's travel ban to take full effect. It impacts people from mostly Muslim countries: Chad, Libya, Syria, Iran, Yemen, and Somalia.
In an order issued Monday, 7 of the 9 members of the Supreme Court agreed to lift lower court restrictions and allow the travel ban to take effect, while legal challenges are heard starting later this week. Many travelers from 6 Muslim-majority countries will be barred from entering the U.S., but there are exceptions. Iranian exchange students will still be allowed, while Somalis can't emigrate here, but will be allowed to visit after extra security screening.
The travel ban also affects people from North Korea and various classes of would-be visitors from the nation of Venezuela.
This is Liberation Day in Iraq. Victory flags are being raised after the Prime Minister announced the final defeat of ISIS. The extremists have been driven from the last pocket of territory they still held, a stretch of ground along the Syrian border. Earlier, we spoke with journalist Rebecca Collard about the end of the fighting and what it means going forward.
This top
Iraqi military commander today. He is saying that Iraq is completely liberated from ISIS fighters. Now,
President Trump, thank you for today's historic decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The Jewish people and the Jewish state will be forever grateful. Today's pronouncement by President Trump is such an occasion. We're profoundly grateful for the President for his courageous and just decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to prepare for the opening of the U.S. Embassy here. This decision reflects the President's commitment to an ancient but enduring truth, to fulfilling his promises, and to advancing peace. The President's decision is an important step towards peace, for there is no peace that doesn't include Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Israel. I call on all countries that seek peace to join the United States in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to move their embassies here. I share President Trump's commitment to advancing peace between Israel and all of our neighbors, including the Palestinians. This has been our goal from Israel's first day, and we will continue to work with the President and his team to make that dream of peace come true.
The bill is passed.
Celebration on the House floor after Republicans passed a bill that would cut taxes by more than $1.4 trillion over 10 years, slash the corporate tax rate to 20% from 35%, and simplify the number of tax brackets.
It's about giving people more take-home pay. It's about raising wages.
Today, President Trump was on Capitol Hill before the vote to rally the House. Behind the scenes, he's also focused on the Senate, where tax reform faces the highest hurdle after Republicans inserted a surprise provision to repeal the Obamacare individual mandate.
President Trump today describing the moment overnight he found out his first big legislative win looks locked in.
For years, not since Ronald Reagan has anything even come close. They haven't passed him. They couldn't pass him. They couldn't get the votes.
But Republicans got the votes to pass that massive tax plan that would cut individual taxes, cut the corporate rate, and do away with some popular tax breaks while adding a new child tax credit. Approved in minutes.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, as amended, is passed.
It's not a done deal just yet. The Senate still has to square its bill with the House version to figure out, for example, the number of tax brackets, whether individual tax cuts are temporary or permanent, how generous the child tax credit should be, and whether corporate cuts should start immediately or later. That process will take some time, with Democrats now promising to use that window to fight. Mitch McConnell says Republicans hope to get a final bill on the president's desk before Christmas.
Many Americans could start to see the impact as soon as February in the form of bigger paychecks. Our senior congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, is on Capitol Hill with more on what taxpayers can expect. Good morning to you, Mary.
Good morning, Paula. Well, this is the most sweeping overhaul to the nation's tax code in a generation, likely to impact almost every single American, which has many this morning wondering how and when will this impact you?
Republicans are promising more money is coming to your wallet.
Today, we are giving the people of this country their money back.
Most households would get a tax cut. The bill doubles the standard deduction and the child tax credit.
Come February, check your check.
The IRS says you could start to see less money withheld from your paycheck as soon as February.
President Trump in Mar-a-Lago, hours after celebrating his first major legislative victory. The president today signing that tax cut bill into law.
So this is the bill right here, and we're very proud of it.
This may be the most sweeping overhaul of the tax code in a generation.
That's your bill.
David Wright joins us now live. David, you were there at the White House today. This new tax plan, by far the president's biggest legislative achievement and one of the biggest days of his presidency. And he mentioned today there in the Oval Office he hopes to carry this momentum into next year with a plan for infrastructure.
That's right, Tom, and he hopes to approach that issue with the help of the Democrats.
The American economy is strong. Employers added 228,000 jobs in November. The healthcare industry, the business sector, manufacturing, all experienced gains.
Jobs report, it is a very strong one for the Trump economy. CNN chief business correspondent Christine Romans is here. Big number. It is another big number. I mean, it shows that employers are aggressively hiring still, continue to hire aggressively. I can show you what the job growth looks like over the past year. 228,000 net new jobs this most recent month. You can see October was 240-some. That's bouncing back after those hurricanes in September. So that's a pretty good picture of just how strong the economy is. You look in the sectors, healthcare up 30,000. These are a broad array of jobs. Some of them pay very, very well. Business services, again, a highly paid sector of the economy in many cases. Manufacturing up 31,000. That's a very strong number for manufacturing. And even construction. Entering the fall, construction up 23,000 net new jobs there. Those sometimes tend to be higher paid jobs. When we look at wages, up about 2.5%. If you look at overall weekly paychecks, those grew about 3%, Poppy, but that's because people are working more hours. So that's a little bit of caution in the wage front. We still haven't seen wages off to the races yet. But when I dig into these numbers, I see fewer discouraged workers, fewer marginalized workers, fewer underemployed, all these numbers going in the right direction.